Hello, everyone. Welcome to Profitable Waxing, 5 Easy Ways to Make More Money. We're here with Caronlab North America Master Educator, Chanel Mack. Thank you all for coming, and hi, Chanel.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Katie. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, we'll give everyone just a few minutes to jump on, and then we'll get started. And then before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping items. So if you have any questions during the demo, you can use the chat feature at the bottom of the screen. And just a note when you open the chat to make sure the blue button says everyone and not just hosts and panelists, so everyone can see your question. Let's go ahead and try that now. Everyone send a message in the chat and tell us where you're tuning in from. There's Renee from South Florida. We have Detroit, Chicago. Nice. Los Angeles, Indiana, Chicago. Great. Okay, we got people from all over. So yeah, if you have any questions during the presentation, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat throughout. We'll be monitoring the chat and we're ready to answer all your questions. And then afterward, we'll have a 15-minute Q&A with Chanel to answer any remaining questions, at which point you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question live, or you can continue using the chat. So Chanel is here and live and ready to go. So I will let you take it away, Chanel.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for joining me today. This is a very exciting class for me to bring to you guys as well, because everyone is always wondering, how can I make more money? Is waxing really just waxing, just wax on, wax off, or is there actually more to that? And how can we actually raise our bottom line at the end of the day? Gonna start my presentation here for you guys. All right, so welcome everyone to Profitable Waxing, 5 Easy Ways to Make More Money. As Katie already mentioned, my name is Chanel. I am from Canada, and I have been using CronLab for about 5 years in my own business as well. It has definitely changed my whole entire business completely. Especially with the waxperience that allows me to offer for my clientele. I will mention, of course, in this presentation too, what this whole waxperience kind of entails and how you guys can also make a waxperience part of your business to help further market yourself even further, own it, and also be able to utilize that to bring in more clientele and also raise your revenue too. I have been in the beauty industry for about almost 13 years now. My own home-based business that I do co-own with my husband has been open for almost 6 years. Definitely has been a very pivotal moment, the moment I did switch over to using a more of a premium wax, which is another little topic that I'll go over today too, to help me actually raise my prices without needing to justify anything. So today I want you guys to be thinking about this question: is what actually makes you guys different from the next waxer? Now, this is just a food for thought, okay? I want you guys to be thinking about this, understanding who you are and what that maybe whatever it is actually makes you different and makes you stand out from the next person. Now, these are the highlights that I will be covering today. I'm not going to go through this whole bit. You guys already read the whole entire description, so you guys know what you're in for today. So I'm going to dive right in right away, guys. The very first thing always is, how can I actually add maybe some really simple services, add-on services into your current waxing treatments? Very easy ways for you to upsell to your clients as well, because it only takes maybe 5 minutes for you to do. Now, these are some really small, but what I call very mighty areas that will guarantee any of your clients to want to rebook over and over again. It's definitely areas that I find that once you do once, they will keep rebooking over and over again. So my top two, definitely for sure, is going to be nose waxing and ear waxing. And then some of my other recommendations for you guys, these guys are usually neglected too, maybe just small little afterthoughts, would be hands, fingers, knuckles, feet, and toes. Whether it be for female or for male, definitely a little bit easier to market these off to your female clientele. But these are little things that I think that we all think about, including our clientele, that these are annoying little areas that are simply just skipped over. So you guys can actually be able to bring this in to your space as well. Just small little 5-minute add-on treatments, which is not going to take you a whole lot of time to actually raise some revenue. Now, nose waxing is going to be my very first one that I'm going to go over. This is definitely my most top, easiest upsell to men and women as well. There is a little bit of misconception though when it comes with nose waxing. Some people absolutely adore this. Some people say that they are too scared to do this. I definitely know with clients, they always think that this is going to be super duper painful. When performed correctly, it is actually the least painful, the most gratifying experience for your clients and for you guys too. So I am actually using on my male model here. It's his first time getting his nose hairs waxed. I am using a wax called Pro HD. It is a hypoallergenic, vegan friendly. There are no scents as well, and there are no colorants added into this. So it's actually perfect for all skin types. Now, I like using a wax that has no fragrances, especially when we are doing our nose waxing, because we don't need them to be smelling all that up in there. It actually makes it a little bit more of a comfortable experience for them as well, because they can just nicely just relax back. I do like to use a spatula when I am doing my male clientele too, especially if they have beards. Instead of applying any extra oils or anything to make sure that the wax doesn't adhere to those hairs that you don't want, just use a spatula to block out those hairs. Now, the most important thing for you guys to also understand when you're doing the nose wax is we are only removing the outer rim. We actually do still need some of the hairs inside of our nose because it does act as a filter of any harmful or large debris or anything that might get trapped inside of our nose. So notice all of those hairs removed. It is also more of an appearance thing for especially our male clients too, because I know for a fact that lots of male clients, they have lots of coarse hairs that stick right out of their nose. And it is a bit of an eyesore. And I do know a lot of my male clients too, they are actually grabbing buzzers and they're sticking them right up their nose and they're taking care of this every single day. So if you can actually include this in your services, especially for your men, it would actually make their lives a whole lot easier. Now, I also have a female model here. This is also her first time getting the service done as well. She was a little bit nervous and scared too. It was not daunting. It was not painful. She's hooked right away, and I actually got a rebook back in 4 weeks afterwards already, right after we filmed this demonstration. We are using a grippier wax on her called Bravado. Bravado does have a very mild scent to it, but it is probably one of the grippiest waxes for the entire CronLab range, which is perfect for your facial waxing needs and removing any peach fuzz. So this is a wonderful wax to use just because it has that grip factor in there. I usually like to do about 2 inside of the nose just to make sure that we have covered every single portion of the nose, especially that top upper corner right at the tip of the nose. This is where the hairs usually get trapped, especially for the men too. For women, you really are just trying to remove the outer rims. It's more, again, for appearance's sake. And also, there are a lot of wonderful health benefits. And when I say health benefits, think about your clients who suffer from allergies, okay? Why do they get the runny nose? Why do they have to blow their nose constantly or take antihistamines? Nose waxing can actually help your clients who suffer from allergies because it is actually removing some of that filtering. So less of the pollen, less of the dust, less of the dander actually gets trapped inside of the nose. And I know for a fact too, a lot of my clients who do suffer from these types of allergies, the ones who are taking allergy medication every single day, once you start to do the nose waxes, they no longer have to take medication every single day. They'll just book you back in for maybe every 3 to 4 weeks to make sure that filtration system is fully taken care of for them. So they're not trapping as much of the allergy causing issues that they are having. So yeah, my client there just said, wow, she was completely blown away. There's been a hair in there that's been bugging her for years. And she said, I've always tried to grab tweezers to grab those little hairs in there. And when you grab one hair, it's very, very painful. But when you go ahead and you use hard wax to do this area, hard wax is going to be the best choice for this because hard wax doesn't adhere to the skin. We have to remember that hard wax, because it's not adhering to the skin, it is going to be the safest option to do. I would never ever recommend using any soft wax for this area. And the skin is very thin and delicate in here as well. So also just want to be mindful if you do have someone who does if you do live in a fairly dry climate, or if you do have someone who has been blowing their nose quite often, you have to be a little bit more mindful because that skin could be slightly compromised. So using hard wax is always going to be the main thing that you want to use for this type of clientele. And using something that is a synthetic formula is also very important, because synthetic formulas definitely do not adhere to any skin and only to hair. Now, the next one that I love doing, and it's actually taken off quite a bit for me this year, is ear waxing. Now, ear waxing is more towards your male clientele, not really for your female clients. Females usually don't get a lot of those coarse hairs on their ears. Some women do like to get this done, especially if they don't like seeing a little bit of that peach fuzz on their ear sections. But this is more tailored towards your male clients, and men do care about their ears. Now, this is one of my very loyal male clients. I actually kind of noticed he had a few ear hairs at the very top one day when we were doing a facial. And I just slightly mentioned, hey, I've never actually noticed these hairs on your ears. Is this something new or what is going on? And he actually told me that no, he is so self-conscious about his ears that he actually goes and shaves his ears twice a day, once in the morning and once at night, just to make sure that these hairs aren't peeking out. And I simply just had to say, well, why don't we start waxing it? So then you don't have to do this every single day, twice a day anymore. And it was the quickest and easiest upsell, where it's just, yeah, you know what? I don't know why we never thought about this. Let's do it. And after this one client of mine who started doing his ears, then the next male client came in, exactly same issues. He was actually getting his wife to help him tweeze them. And finally, the wife said, I'm done with this. If Chanel can take care of this for you, we're more than willing to do this every 4 weeks. So one after another, more male clients have been coming in for ear waxing. It is one of the most gratifying, the most satisfying waxes, I have to say. The wax I am using here, guys, because you can barely see any of those little hairs, because we're working with only a day and maybe a half of growth here. You can't really tell that they are hairs, but we grabbed tons of beautiful hairs out of this ear. You want to be able to make sure that you do bring these men back about every 3 to 4 weeks, depending on their growth and how much there is. Because if it starts to grow a little tiny bit, it is going to bug the heck out of them. So this is definitely one of the top things that you can definitely offer to your male clientele, because it's going to keep bringing them back in every 3 to 4 weeks. If you guys are wondering what to charge for this, I'll talk a little bit more about pricing and all that too once we get to the premium wax section. But really depends on what kind of wax are you using. Is it going to be able to overlap the skin multiple times? Is it going to still protect the skin and cause less adverse reactions? I am using Bravado here, which is the same one that I just used for my female model for her nose waxing, because it is so ultra grippy and flexible that it can just mold around the curvatures of the ear very safely. The areas that you will most likely want to work on for the ear is going to be the lobe, which is the bottom bit of this of the ear here, where the earrings usually go. The helix, which is the very back of the ear, and then the tragus, which is just that little point right at the very front of the ear here. Those are the main areas that you can definitely work on. I do see some questions flying in, but I will be answering them at the very, very end here. So keep them coming, guys. Okay, now some other areas that I like to mention is hands, knuckles, and fingers. This is probably one of the areas that I find that women do find bothers them, but we don't talk about this enough. And the easiest way for me to kind of bring this up in a conversation when I'm waxing my clients, especially if you know during the summertime they are going somewhere nice and hot, maybe they're going to the beach, they're going on vacation, they have a beautiful manicure, but there's pesky little hairs there. Just lightly mention, you know, the other day I got my nails done and I noticed these really annoying hairs on my knuckles that I completely neglected. And I'm so glad that I just waxed them off. It's as simple as just you bringing it up in a conversation and they go, oh my God, yeah, you know what? These really bother me too. I would love to get it done as well. You could literally do $5 a hand and minimal amounts of wax, but you just gain that client to do their hands, especially those who love to get their nails done and love to have beautiful hands. Now, I am using a soft wax on this area. You do have to be very mindful though, again, because of all of the curvatures. But the key thing to know when you are using a soft wax is it needs to go on very, very nice and thin. We're not trying to adhere the wax with a ton of friction or anything like that. Because usually if you are trying to get your wax to adhere with so much friction, that's where your wax is, one, being wasted, and two, you are using way too much time and effort in order to get the wax off. So nice, thin, and transparent applications are what you're looking for. You can barely see the wax on my model's hand here. I am using the Pro HD. It is available in a soft wax version as well. But there is zero and like any adverse reactions on her at all. You can't even tell that she just got her hands waxed. She actually does have a little bit of a tan because it's the summertime and she isn't very diligent with her sunscreen, but you can definitely see the little bits of the tan line. So I did take at the very end, I did take her wax up just a little tiny bit further right by where you would have your watch area. So everything blends in a little bit nicer. If you're doing hands already and you're not including the hands, this is also an opportunity for you to do a quick little upsell to be like, it's going to be maybe $5 per hand afterwards if you wanted to include your hand in it as well. Or you can already build it into your pricing as well if you want to, and include hands and fingers and knuckles in your full arm waxing. If you only do like half of an arm, which I know some technicians do as well, then you can add it on as an add-on service. Again, and maybe $5 or even more than that, whatever it is that you decide to do. Now, I am also showing you that you can do this with hard wax as well. Hard wax is always going to be a little bit more forgiving, again, because you can safely work with the curvatures of the hand or any of the bone structures. I am using Pro HD just so you guys can see it again. And then I do have Brazilian 2-in-1 film right beside it. These two are both wonderful film waxes that is great for you to use for all over body waxing, and it's very quick drying as well. So you guys do have tons of options. Like, if you don't like the whole film wax bit, you're more of a cream wax user, you can definitely do that as well. Cream waxes are always going to be a little bit more gentle, but these are great ways for you guys just to make a little tiny bit more that doesn't actually take up way too much time, way too many disposables. A little tiny bit of wax goes a long way. If you see maybe just 1 or 2 hairs that's maybe on a finger, go ahead and maybe charge them $1 per finger if you want to. But it is a great way, again, just to get your clients to experience something a little tiny bit more that you have to offer. It's nice to when you notice something that maybe your clients don't notice, but it does actually fully bother them and has always bothered them. They just never thought to ask. And when you are willing to put yourself out there in that position, then you can actually open yourself up to even more services. You can find out more about what your clients are actually looking for. Just taking a quick look here in the chat here. Just want to make sure that I will go over settings and everything at the very end. If you guys have some very specific questions to some of the products that I am using, I will answer all of that at the very, very end when we do our Q&A in the 15 minutes. So this is, again, it's always so amazing what you can do with a premium wax here. You guys can see that I am overlapping the skin multiple times, whether it is with the soft wax, which I do actually like to overlap with soft wax too. You can do this as long as you understand the ingredients of what your premium wax is made out of. Otherwise, if you feel more like you're more comfortable with using a hard wax because of all the benefits that hard wax can give you, that it doesn't adhere to the skin, that it's safer for the skin as well. Maybe it's at a lower temperature so your clients can't feel the heat, so there's lesser chances for you to burn them. There are those options for you available too. Now, last but not least, feet and toes. I always like to talk about feet and toes because I always find this is so heavily neglected, more neglected than our hands. Not even just with the hairs on our feet, just taking care of our feet in general. So I am again using Pro HD here, guys. The very first foot that I just applied is the hard wax, and then the second foot I will be using some soft wax. So it kind of gives you guys an idea of like what do you prefer? What do you want to use for a clientele? How much wax are you wanting to go through? At the end of the day, I always opt for the soft waxes whenever I'm doing my hands and my feet, just because I do use way less product. One spatula can basically do the entire job for me. So I don't have to use anything more than that. But our feet, guys, like, why are we neglecting our feet too? There are hairs on our feet. They're probably one of the most annoying areas. Some of my clients would even say that one of the most ugliest things to ever have, especially when you have a beautiful pedicure. You want to wear your sandals, you want to show off your feet. So why aren't we taking care of these hairs during the removal process too? Perhaps some of your clients are only in for a lower leg, but what about their feet? I always like to just lightly bring it in there. I'm like, hey, well, we're doing your legs, but hey, it's a summertime. Don't you want to show off your beautiful like pedicure that you've done? I noticed a few little hairs on your toes. Do you want me to grab them for you today? They 9 times out of 10 will be like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I would actually love that. Of course, some of them will ask you how much more. $5 a foot really isn't anything. Or if you want to do $5 for both feet, it's really not that much of an extra cost for your clients, but it is extra revenue for you and an extra thought for your clients to think about next time is, hey, when I book in my feet, can I just tag on my toes and my feet as well when we do my legs? And it's as simple as like, yeah, it doesn't take that much time. It's maybe less than 5 minutes for me to do, but that's extra money in your pocket as well. So yes, that was the hard wax removal there, and the soft wax removal was the one with the spun lace strip. Okay, we keep talking about money, revenue, and everything. The biggest problem I find for a lot of professionals is how can I actually raise my prices? Especially with times right now with inflation, how can you actually raise your prices without your clients wondering why? I almost feel like clients shouldn't be wondering why we're raising any of our prices because everything is getting more and more expensive. But the biggest problem that we have is we feel like we need to justify it. Okay. Don't justify anything. You don't need to justify a single thing at all. Just own it. If you have very great loyal clients, they will understand it fully. You don't have to explain anything at all to them. But if you are still feeling like, you know what, I feel like I need to offer something a little bit more, again, which you really don't have to, every single year you should be raising your prices by about 3% just to kind of get them into the habit of like things are getting more and more expensive. Things are definitely your overhead is also a little bit more expensive. So your prices have to reflect that as well. If you feel like you need to still justify yourself, okay, if you do like a handful of clients might be like, well, nothing has changed. Are you raising if you're raising your prices quite significantly, if you were to say you were charging $10 and you do a significant $5 jump, that's a 50% jump. Yeah, I would want to be able to explain why I did this. Now, the biggest thing too is raise your prices accordingly. If you want to be able to be making the money, you also need to be using high quality products to give your clients the results that they are looking for. Of course, with that too, when you are using a high quality product, it also means that your clients are going to see less adverse reactions. They're not going to look like they have just been waxed. They're not going to get all of the soreness, the pain. You're going to be increasing their comfort. They're going to actually look forward to coming to their waxing appointment and not thinking that it's going to be a painful, daunting appointment for them today. When you do your price increase though, please make sure that you do give them a grace period. And grace periods are amazing, not just for your current clientele, okay? Grace periods are great. I usually like to give my clients about a 2 to 3 month grace period. The reason why I do this, before you raise your prices, I usually raise my prices in the whole. So if your clients have been on the fence about trying something new, it gives them a chance to book you at your old pricing to try it out first to see if they like it. And then when you do your full price increase afterwards, they're going to already fall in love with the service and they will keep booking it whatsoever. This also allows for new clientele who have also been on the fence about seeing you, giving that grace period that you will announce that, oh, I'm going to come and try this person out first. And then once you do the full increase, then they're already set to pay that full increase. The biggest thing too is make sure you set an official date and you need to market the heck out of this. Okay. So you need to post this on your Instagram. You need to let people know that you are going to be doing this price increase effective this date. The other thing too is if you have someone who goes, oh, I didn't know about your price increase. You already told them about that grace period for 3 months. It is not up to you to give them that extra grace period. It needs to be fair for all of your clientele. If you miss that grace period, then I'm sorry you missed that grace period. If you can book in during that time, then you have to, unfortunately, this is my official date for the price increase. This is what you will abide by. You're not playing any favorites with any of your clientele. Now, of course, with that being said too, that also goes with, you really need to own your own branding. You really need to own your own policies as well. We're not going to be feeling like we can be a little bit lenient towards one person, because then you're going to feel lenient about doing it with tons of other clients too. So make sure you set a perfect date for yourself. Let your clients know about this date too. Market the heck out of it. Let them know. Take advantage of this grace period to try a new area. Actually tell them, if you have been thinking about trying something brand new, why not book me during my grace period? It will book itself up. And usually, if you do have new clients who are coming in to book for your grace period as well, then it's going to force them to basically have to book right after your official date of your price increases. Now, with that being said too, the biggest other problem is retail. Okay. If we're also just relying on our services, are we actually really bringing in that money? And I like to use this little slogan because it kind of answers it for you. Would you like fries with that? It's a simple little question that can literally take your service revenue and elevate that way even further. Think about it, how you can actually sell your products to your clientele. You don't actually have to have sales experience to sell. It's as simple as you just saying, do you need to restock any of your products today? Or do you have the proper aftercare to use at home? Two very simple questions, things that we already know that we need to make sure our clients are doing. Because if they do not have the proper aftercare, how can we guarantee that our waxing services are going to go nice and efficiently at the next appointment or the following appointments afterwards? Why not have them buy from you, someone that they have placed trust in, especially if you're doing Brazilian waxing? They are already so exposed to you already. They've already given them all of you. Why would they not trust you to purchase aftercare products that you are currently offering and you're going to recommend to them? The easiest way to do this is to let them experience it. Use the products that you have available in your space. Let them experience it. Think about that whole, would you like fries with that? When you walk into a fast food joint, the first thing you smell is that oil, the smell of the French fries. You're experiencing it with one of your senses already. You feel like, oh yeah, you know what? I cannot wait to have some of those fries. And when that person asks you, would you like fries with that? You're like, 100%. I already smelled it the moment I came in. I want some of those fries. So if you're going to be using your aftercare products, whether it's a hydrating lotion or anything like that after your service, they'll get to feel the sensation of it on their skin. Oh, that feels really, really good. Oh, it doesn't feel too overly greasy. Oh, that smells really nice. It's not too overpowering. They're already getting that first initial feel of the entire product, and it will make it so much easier for you to not need to push them to do any hard sales with them, because they already have fallen in love with it. Or if you really don't want to go that route, guys, too, with your first initial pricing, build it in. Build an aftercare package into your service price. If you are really, really unsure, don't want to do the hard sales pitch. Again, it's not a hard sales pitch as long as you are lightly just asking what you already need to ask. Do you have the proper aftercare today? Do I need to recommend you something to use today? This is what I recommend, and this is why I recommend it for you. It's a part of our whole entire job as a technician, as business owners. And if we aren't making sure that our retail is going to be a good 50% on top of our revenue, how can we make sure that we are going to be making any more money? We don't want to be working harder. We want to make sure that we are working way smarter. Now, I have a cute little acronym here for you guys called SAGE. Now, a SAGE is not just your herbs and everything like that. A SAGE is basically someone who is very knowledgeable, which is us. We're the knowledgeable professional that our clients are seeking. The biggest question is, are you doing a consultation for every single appointment, even if it's a short 15-minute service? Are you doing a consultation? This consultation is so important. I want you guys to follow the SAGE rule. S stands for seek. Are you asking your clients for their concerns that day? It could be waxing related. It could be anything else related. Maybe they are having issues with their skin somewhere. Do you have something that you can cater to that, or any recommendations that you can give them cater to that concern? You might have a client who does come in and go, "Oh, I'm okay today," and that's okay too. But 9 times out of 10, guys, clients will have a concern. That's why they're coming in. Maybe they are having some ingrowns. Maybe their skin is quite dry. Maybe they are getting some irritation. Have already pinpointed a concern that they are having that day. Next thing is you're going to assess. So this is where you're going to perform the service. You're going to see what you're working with, and you're now going to think about what you are going to recommend for them. That's where G comes in. When you are closing your sale, you have them at the very front, ready for them to pay for their services. This is guiding them. You're going to guide them now based off of the concern that they mentioned. Hello, Sally. Because you mentioned today that this was your main concern, I recommend this product for you in order to address this concern that you have. This is how this product is going to work. Based off of what you have told me, this is something that you need, keyword need, in order for you to fix this concern today. Can I bring you up along with this product with your services? Usually they will go, "Oh, you heard about what I have told you today." They feel listened. That's another thing too. Clients are feelers. People are feelers. If you do not understand their feelings in this, if you don't make them feel like you care about them, how can they feel like that they want to purchase anything from you, because there is no trust? We have to make sure that we always understand that any business, we are dealing with people. And when we are dealing with people, we need to understand that we need to resonate with them. Which is why some people say that we put on so many hats when we are working. Sometimes we're psychologists, sometimes we are salespeople, we're waxers, we're tons of other things as well. So if we cannot resonate with our clients initially, then how can we be sure that we can actually sell them something if there is no trust, that they don't feel like they have that same energy with you? Now, the guiding is very important. Your wording is very important. Because you mentioned this concern, you need this product. This is actually something that I learned back in the day when I was actually working elsewhere. This is something that this CEO have taught me. And this is something that I have definitely stuck onto as something that's very important, that I am making sure that my clients do feel listened to, so then I can actually recommend them a product that I know that they will buy from me because they have already built that trust with me. E is to execute that sale. If you do not make that sale, that's okay. There is always the next appointment. Always remember there is going to be a next time. Another thing too that I want to mention too, don't worry about your client's money. Everyone has money. It's just a matter of, are they going to spend that money on you, or are they going to spend that money elsewhere? I would rather my clients spend that money on me, because I know what is going to be the best product for them due to my expertise. Why go somewhere else and just pick up something randomly? Now, these are my top picks when it comes to CronLab. The Soothe Lotion is my number one. It has vitamin A and E and witch hazel too. It's won Dermoscope awards for the best post-hair removal product. And then otherwise, I do also recommend the aloe, especially right now in the summertime. I've had a few clients come in with some sunburns. I always keep 1 or 2 available in stock. And when I see a sunburn, I tell them, "You're picking up some aloe today. I'm pretty sure you haven't done anything to treat that skin." That vitamin E in there is going to help speed up the healing, and the aloe is also going to help hydrate your skin. I also do, of course, these are just 2 top picks from CronLab, but whether you guys are also doing topical treatments or an exfoliating mitt or an exfoliating product, these are things that you can also recommend to your clients, and should be recommending to your clients at every single initial appointment, to make sure that they are set up properly and ready to restock when it is time to do so. Which, again, we're coming back to this now. What makes you different from the next waxer? Is this something that you're already doing? Are you a little bit afraid of trying to take that next step because you feel like you're hard selling someone? I want you guys, again, step back from that. You're not hard selling anyone. You're just really literally doing yourself a favor, because if your clients are not using that aftercare, guys, to help boost your retail sales, at the end of the day, it's going to make your job more difficult waxing them at that next appointment. Why make your job more difficult to do, to need to spend more time to deal with hairs that could be really brittle, that they are dealing with ingrown hairs, when you could be setting them up perfectly from the very first appointment and continuing that trend on. Okay, premium wax. Like briefly touch base on some of the premium wax benefits. The biggest thing that I want you guys to really think about is, do you even know what your wax is made out of? So when you guys pick up your wax, are you just looking at the front of the label? Or are we treating it like skincare? We're turning it around and we're actually reading the ingredients. Do we know why this wax does what it does? Do we know if this wax is going to be causing less adverse reactions? Do we know if things are going to be penetrating into the skin? Do you know what your wax is made out of? That is always the first thing that I always like to ask people. And 9 times out of 10 as well, people don't know what it is actually made out of. The first thing that everyone does when they go and they look for a wax is they look for keywords. And the words that, any resin-based wax can still have all these words on there. But if you don't understand the main component of what basically makes a wax, how do you know this is a premium wax? Next thing is, in order for you to know all of that, how transparent is the company? Is the company willing to share all of those details with you? Do they have anything more to it? Do they have a story? Does it resonate with you as the individual? Does their beliefs align with your beliefs? And that's why you're using the product. There is always a disconnect in between if you're just using something just because it is supposed to wax on, wax off. But if you don't resonate, you don't feel the passion, you don't feel excited when you're using your brand, how will that resonate with your skills too when you are actually doing your services? The next thing too is, how do you know then that you have a premium wax? I always talk about the adverse reactions. Is every single person should react. We're causing trauma to the skin. The way to know a premium wax, apart from a non-premium wax, is how long does that reaction last for? Or how high are the chances of your clientele developing said reaction? Now, if you have a beautiful premium wax that doesn't like cause any adverse reactions whatsoever, or if they do react, it only lasts for about 5 minutes, and by the time they leave your space, it doesn't even look like that they've had a wax afterwards, you should be able to charge more, because other people out there are causing these adverse reactions where people are leaving their appointments looking like they're super red, maybe for more than a day, or needing to ice their certain private areas because it was very sore afterwards. A premium wax shouldn't do any of that for your clients. You should be more than comfortable raising your prices, because that is also a selling point that you have to offer to your clients. Now, a waxperience is definitely something that I heavily market in my own space, because a waxperience is really what makes me stand out from the next individual waxer. So a waxperience is basically using especially hard waxes that can be flexible, pliable, and moldable to the anatomy, because it is a synthetic. There is nothing natural in it. It is also, because it's synthetic, it's not going to adhere to the skin whatsoever, but it's going to protect the skin already. You don't need any other products such as pre-oils in it or anything to protect the skin. The next thing as well is that client comfort, because it's not adhering to that skin. You are going to reduce pain. You will get less adverse reactions. Also, depending on how you wax you also don't need to put your clients into uncomfortable positioning. So no more long-term butterfly poses. We're working maybe from one side to another, really making sure that our clients are as comfortable as possible, but also not just them experience this wax experience. You guys should be experiencing a wax experience too, with better ergonomics, with waxes that will actually get you into less chances of sticky situations where maybe the wax dropped into an area where it wasn't supposed to, but you don't have to worry about that because the wax isn't adhering to said area anyway. I like to use Brazilians as my main example. So if it was to drop, say, on the like on a clitoris, for example, you don't have to worry about that because it's not going to adhere to that skin. It's just going to mold around the whole entire anatomy, and it's not going to damage the skin at all. Now, I did talk a little bit about the Brazilian and all that too. If you guys are curious about how the whole wax experience comes into play when it comes to CronLab, CronLab does have some really cool signature movements, does kind of, again, cover the whole better ergonomics and boosting your confidence in your waxing room so you don't get into those sticky situations. But if you are wanting to learn more, I do highly recommend you guys checking out our website or maybe joining one of our classes as well. It is a very different technique, and it is another way for you guys to set yourself apart from the next waxer. Last but not least here, guys, making money and saving money works hand in hand. If you guys feel like wax is your most expensive expense that you are going through way too much, that is all completely wrong. The wax isn't for you. Wax should never be your biggest expense. I always say my biggest expense is disposables. The other way that you can also take advantage of saving money is to buy bulk, guys. Buying bulk is so important because it can actually help save you so much money down the road. For example, I'm just taking Brazilian here. We're only going to talk about underarm. A bag of Brazilian can maybe do 80 underarms, and that's really dependent on your skill set, your client as well, like their density of the hair, is it coarse or if it's fine, do they shave, is it stubborn to remove? But let's just say you charge $20. It's just an average cost. You can charge more or less. But if you charge $20 for an underarm, a bag of Brazilian should help you make $1,600. And that is without calculating any other expenses. We're just strictly talking what the wax can do for you. But if you buy bulk, you're essentially getting about 30% savings, but you get 6 bags of Brazilian in a box. That's about 480 underarm treatments. And if we're still charging the same at the 20, you could be making $9,600. This box would have only cost you, I believe it's 200 some dollars, if someone doesn't mind just getting me the number really quick. But you invested in a bulk box and you got so much more in return. So I always recommend try something out first, make sure it's available in bulk. You also don't want to be stocking as often either because time is money. You want to be able to just buy what you need and don't have to worry about it for hopefully 2-3 months down the road. I always recommend too, if you are using something that is premium base, yes, I use $20 here, guys, but you should be able to raise your prices up higher. So instead of the 20, you could be charging $25 and your clients are actually going to feel the difference. So if you really do feel like you need to justify yourself, you don't have to do any of that because the experience, that wax experience that your clients are going to feel, it's going to justify it for them already why it is a little bit more pricey and they're more than willing to pay for that price. We do have a huge range of waxes for everyone, okay? I've only touched base on some of them. If you guys are curious, please go onto the Marlo Beauty website and see what is available there. Marlo Beauty has some of the most amazing prices too when it comes to any CronLab related products and any other products that you guys are looking for, whether it's your disposables or anything like that as well. Back to this question now, touch base a little tiny bit about everything here, but what does make you different from the next waxer? If you guys want to share in the chat box, letting me know how it makes you different, I would love to see them as well and hear maybe what you guys are doing differently that makes you stand out from the next person. Last but not least, too, CronLab really does care about education. It's a part of our CronLab Cares program. If you guys are wanting more from us, more education, we don't just touch base on waxing techniques and everything. We do talk about marketing. We do, again, do business webinars like this as well. Join our webinars. We did just launch a sugar as well. So you guys are looking for more information, maybe with adding sugaring into your waxing services, please join our upcoming webinar. And otherwise, I did touch base a little tiny bit on our Brazilian waxing. If you guys are curious and just kind of want to see what is so special about the CronLab Brazilian, what that wax experience all entails, I will be doing a webinar in September for a mature curvy client who does also have a clitoral piercing, and I'll go over ways of how you can kind of combat that. All right, that was 45 minutes, guys. I tried to cram everything in there. I love to talk and I love to share my knowledge. We'll be answering questions now, but thank you so much to Marlo Beauty. Thank you, Katie, for having me. I'm going to bring Katie back here. I'm also going to just exit out of this PowerPoint and we'll get onto our questions.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. That was great. And I did see quite a few good questions come through. So I think you were clocking some of these too. But I know Mary asked, what is the setting for the wax you use specifically for the nose waxing? And I think you were going to go over the setting times for all the different waxes.
Okay, so setting times actually vary, guys, okay? I never tell you guys what to set your pots to because it really depends on your environment that you're working in, and it could fluctuate at any time. The important thing for you to know with any wax is what it needs to look like for consistency wise. The Pro HD that I was using, and the Bravado, was there one that you were more curious about? Because Bravado has a very different consistency. It does need to be fully smooth throughout with no core, whereas Pro HD, Brazilian, and our other hard wax Brilliance, those do generally require a core in order for you to have that perfect temperature setting. If you want more information on this, I can also get you videos so you can actually see what you need to look with, because you should be judging all of your waxes by eye, not by your dials ever. Because if you are using, say, for example, a double heater, and you have, say, strip wax on one side, hard wax on the other side, you're going to play dials all day, pretty much, because it's going to affect one or the other. So your hard wax could be set at, say, I'm using CronLab dial settings because I know everyone has different pots, but let's just say you set at a 5. It could be at a 5 for majority of the day, but if I do have like a temperature drop in the day, I may have to turn it up a little bit higher. If it's a really, really hot day, then of course my wax is going to heat up faster, and I don't want it to be heating up that fast. I might turn the dials down to maybe a 4, or maybe even down to a 3, depending on temperatures and all of that too. Having fans, having heaters, having all of that stuff does help to regulate your temperatures in your room, but really understanding consistency and knowing how to judge it by eye is really more important than knowing what dials you're going to set it at.
Okay, yeah, and that's a good reminder that if you do have any specific questions, you can always DM Marlo Beauty Supply or CronLab North America on Instagram, and we will answer your questions. I also saw a question come through about how to bring waxing clients into the spa. Do you have any advice on that?
So my biggest thing, I actually, like, touch wood here, I'm actually thinking about running ads. Ads are very, very important. You need to understand. So I'm going to loop back to, do you know what sets you apart? Okay. So if you don't understand what kind of waxer you are, how do you know what kind of clients you want to attract? And that's where ads really do come into play. You're trying to run ads to attract your ideal clientele. You're trying to attract those clients or attract a certain problem or concern that they might have, and you want to be their answer, which is why you run the ads. The other thing too is word of mouth, Google reviews. It's so important to have these. I know a majority of my clients actually come in through word of mouth and my Google reviews. So everyone that kind of like lives around my community, they all hop into Google. I'm the first one that comes up. They read my reviews and they come in right away. It's important to, whenever I tell my clients to leave reviews for me, to leave keywords. So I need them to leave behind that Chanel does wax way different from any other waxer out there. If you don't believe it, you need to go see her. It also creates that curiosity for them of, what do you mean she waxes different? It also, I want them to put in keywords of Chanel does add a different flair. It really is, she's so educational. That's another part too that I find with a lot of waxing technicians or a lot of the clients that do come in to see me is they don't get that much education out of it. They feel like they're still learning things from me at every single appointment that they didn't realize with their own bodies. And that's really important as well. Otherwise, just simply marketing the fact that you offer a wax experience. Wax experience is probably one of the biggest words that I actually use to market myself. And people always ask, oh my God, what is a wax experience? And that's also getting that curiosity in. Some people think waxing is awful, it's painful, it's daunting. But if they hear a wax experience and they hear that it's going to be a spa experience, that changes the whole entire dialogue that they want to come in for this spa waxing experience.
That's great advice. So you actually ask your clients to give you reviews. How do you do this?
I honestly, I just ask them to, and the ones that like they want to be able to help you too. I think it's really important because I wouldn't ask like a brand new client to leave me a review. I would usually kind of bring that up after, say, 3, 4, 5 appointments where we have developed that relationship together. I'm really big on developing that professional relationship. We need to build that trust together. It also helps with the whole retail aspect too, because I do tell them, you know what, we're starting a relationship from day one. And if you don't meet me halfway, I can't meet you halfway either. So just as simple as just waiting it out, you're building again that trust. You're making them feel like you understand them. You are vibing on their energy. And if you ask them for anything, they'll more than happy be able to do for you. They also have more experiences to share to the world of not just, oh, I went for one appointment and it was great.
Mhm.
Whereas uh there are clients, because I did actually lose all of my Google reviews last year. So I had to re-ask all of my clients to start doing it again, which was very, very difficult. Um, but when I asked my clients, some of the reviews that came in were so elaborate. It was almost like they were telling a story to my clients because they had more, again, that feel in there. The emotions came through and it resonated with other people that also wanted to feel that same way. And, the whole storytelling thing is so important when you're talking to your clients or you're trying to talk to new clients, especially new clients who are scared to come in to see you because they maybe have had a bad experience. Just as simple as saying, you know what, I understand. I fully feel and understand where you're coming from. I have lots of clients who have also shared horror stories. I have horror stories myself too. I understand where you are, which is why I wanted to set out to be that difference. And if you give me a chance, I want to prove you wrong that you can have a very beautiful experience waxing with me. It's as simple as that.
Really good advice. Okay, getting back to a little more technical question. What sort of wax pot heater do you use with the different types of wax? And they also asked about temperature, but you covered that already. So what,
Yeah, I'm not doing any temperatures, guys. If you
room
guys really
temperatures?
know, DM me. I'll kind of let you know a range, but you have to play with the dial settings to what you require. I always recommend hard waxes in their own pot, okay? Because again, if you don't understand and you treat every single wax the exact same way, yeah, it will work. But is it going to work 100% efficiently? No, it won't. So if you treat, for example, a cream wax like you would a gel wax, you're basically screwing yourself over. You're going to be wasting so much product. You're going to be wasting so much money. You would be restocking constantly trying to figure out what you're doing wrong when it's simply just, do you even understand your wax? Do you even understand the product that you're using? But I always recommend the hard waxes in its own separate pot. I never ever recommend you to have waxes that need to have very specific settings, especially hard wax, because hard wax do have very specific setting needs to it. But if you were to offer say strip waxes in a double pot, they need to be the same consistency anyway, then it's completely okay for you to do that. If you want to play dials all day, then sure. I don't want to be playing dials all day. I don't have time for that. I don't think you guys have time for that either. I don't think it's necessary for you to have that frustration that you need to play dials all day. So by having them in separate pots, I always recommend having about 3 to 4 different waxes in your room too, to cater to different types of hair types and different clientele needs. One wax really isn't realistic at the end of the day. One or two, depending on what kind of waxer you are and what you usually do, is actually really beneficial because then you can actually cover more of your bases. But if you do a lot of full body waxing areas, it is beneficial for you to have 2 different hard waxes, 2 different strip waxes, so you can actually work on different types of clientele and cater to every single one's needs.
Okay. We had a question just come in from Kathleen, and she asked, does facial waxing cause hair to regrow in heavier?
Okay, no. So, okay, if you are finding someone, this also, so I'm talking from another background. I do also do electrolysis in my space. I've also done tons of laser hair removal back in the day. So we're gonna touch base on let's not just say hair removal, okay? Because we know for a fact that some people say when you shave, the hair feels like it's growing in more, it's thicker, it's coarser, blah blah blah. If you're getting more growth like that, or you're feeling something like that after your facial waxing, you could be breaking some hairs. But at the end of the day, the reason why when I'm gonna talk more towards the electrolysis education that I have and how I can apply it to my waxing is when you tamper with an area, you could stimulate hair growth. Okay. Hair growth, we have thousands of hair follicles in our body. Not all of them are actively growing. Some of them are dormant, and some of them might stay dormant till the day we die. If you try to tamper too much with the hair, you could possibly trigger something, but it's quite rare to trigger anything. So you're not really causing any excessive hair growth. You could be breaking some hair, so it feels like you have excessive hair growth. But when you are causing enough trauma to that hair follicle, you're actually damaging it. It's more beneficial for you to also remove it from its food source, where you see that clear plasticky bit to it. That's where you cause the most damage too. So when you're causing the most amount of damage to that hair follicle, it should actually eventually stop growing, grow less, grow thinner. If you're not getting any of that, I would probably either change the scheduling of how you're booking your clients, maybe book them in a little bit earlier so you're catching it at that growth, or really revisit your technique, your application, and your removal so you're not actually breaking any of the hairs.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. And this was one that came in earlier. And they asked, is there a way to gently pitch like nose or ear waxing services to clients who might not have thought about these areas without making them feel self-conscious?
So I always talk about myself. I know it's like what some professionals always say, it's not your time to talk about yourself. You're there for them to talk about themselves so you can learn more about them. I think it's a misconception. I find that our clients actually want to know more about us than the other way around. Of course, we want to be able to learn about them so that we know how to pitch things to them. But I find every single time I mention, as simple as just, again, if I notice, like, for example, I had a client this morning actually who said, "Oh my God, my allergies are killing me. I'm so sorry. I'm not sick." And I go, "Oh, have you actually thought of doing nose waxing?" Like it's something as simple as that. Or just I love to talk about myself because my clients love to know every little thing about me and my life as much as possible. They want to be your friends at the end of the day. We want to give them that illusion, of course, that we are your friend, but we're really not friends. Like we have a very different relationship. I will be like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe how long it took me to wax my nose hairs. I'm like so overdue. I think I'm absolutely crazy. But thank God you're on a schedule because I cannot even imagine going any longer than that." And then usually it would just be, "Oh, you did your nose? Like, doesn't that hurt?" I'm like, "No, let me prove you wrong. Let me do a treatment for you. Like, it's gonna change your life. Like, it's actually life changing. Like, you'll breathe for the first time." And it's just simple little things. Like, if you guys feel like you can't just inch it in, it's like so. I love to talk, guys, and you can tell I love to talk. And it might just be like, maybe I notice those hairs and I know that it bothers them too, but they're not willing to say anything. Like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe how satisfying it was the other night. Like, I just couldn't stand it. I just turned on my wax pots because it was bothering the heck out of me and I waxed these hairs out of my nose." You're like, "Oh my God, you do that?" Easy peasy. It's not even like you're selling them. You're just having a conversation. So it's as simple as that, guys. You're not trying to pitch anything. You're not trying to do anything. It doesn't hurt if you notice something, just as lightly slip it in. I don't have ear hairs, but I'll say, like, "Oh my God, my husband, his ear hairs were just driving me mental. I just dragged them into the spa and I waxed them." And then as simple as that. "Oh my God, my husband has ear hairs too. I have to send him to you." I'm like, "Great, let's book him in." Easy.
Great advice. Yep. Okay. Well, great. I think we got to all the questions. Thank you so much, Chanel. We loved everyone's questions. If we didn't get to it again, feel free to send us a DM. You can DM CronLab, you can DM Marlo Beauty Supply. And just a reminder, you will be getting a follow-up email with a link to rewatch this class and a coupon to use on marlobeauty.com. So thanks again for watching, and thank you, Chanel and CronLab.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.